presented by DXM Technologies, with the participation of CEV.
Man, new thing in the editor universe, Flow Story. So it's like based on Flow, based on other tool you had, you've put them together and that's the result. So what actually is Flow Story?
So Flow Story is basically it's a Flow client, but it's a remote collaborative editor. So we get asked at EditShare a lot about adding more editing features to our Airflow and Flow Browse clients. And one of the other products we've got under EditShare is called Lightworks, which is our fully fledged NLE. It's got 25 years of history. So we've got all that functionality extra functionality that people ask for in Airflow and Flow Browse, like voiceover, trimming, effects, for example. And we've taken the underlying engine of Lightworks and produced a new Flow product called Flow Story, which is what you see here today. So it's based on 25 years of editing video, but taking reimagined it, if you like, and just producing something that's a little bit more simple, a little bit more intuitive, and a little bit more easy for people to pick up quickly. So it's a very different layout and look to the main application. And as I say, it's not a Lightworks application, it's a Flow application. So it's a remote editing.
Can you explain in a second what is Flow?
Flow is our media asset management. Is a way of managing all your media that's on our EditShare servers. So you can browse and log media, you can create simple sequences like straight cuts, but you can't add things like voiceover or effects or...
So before you had the straight cut function and people got like hooked on that, said, oh, we could do more, right?
We need more, exactly. So hence why Flow Story is here. So as you look at the interface here, this is all of our projects that exist on our server, on our remote server, and so I'm working remotely, but all this information is dialed into the server. So here I've got all my projects, which are Flow projects. You can see the tab here, I've got local projects and I've got NAB, and the name of the NAB is just our Flow connection to our Flow server and our storage. So I can create a project, I can call that Matt Interview. So you can see his layout's a fixed layout UI with a left to right topology here. So we've got a log tab, the edit tab and the effects tab. So the log tab, what I want to do here is I want to get media in. So I want to browse for media that's on my my central storage. So I'm just going to do a search for some clips here, and it will bring up all my surfing media that's available here. So these are files that are available on the server. So as I'm clicking on that and scrubbing these files, it's streaming the proxy file from the server locally to this machine. So I'm streaming. So all I want to do is I want to select multiple clips, and I want to import those. You can see they've actually been, it's just created a small reference file locally on this system, which is allowing me to stream the media from the server. So from here, I can log clips, I can actually just scrub through, I can actually set in and out markers, I can create subclips. See the subclip's been created there, or I can add markers and I can just call that surf, and I can give that a color, which is yellow. And what's nice about this is this project that I've created here locally not locally, that I've created on this machine, has been created on the server. So as we go over to Airflow just here, you can see that if I find my Matt Interview project, which is this one here, and click on the find media, etc. There's all the clips that I imported that are in this project. There's the subclip I just created, and if I double click and load this clip, see the marker here, that's the one I just created. So if I want to make any...
Cool. So is there dynamics there?
Exactly. So I could be creating a project, putting a sequence together here, and marking it, or even logging and marking up clips, and somebody else could be reviewing that information.
Available from everybody that will have access to this clip?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So in fact, if I change it here, just call that surfing. Call that surfing rather than surf. Yeah. You can see as I've changed it there, it's actually updated there as well. So we're sharing all they're all talking to one another.
So it's real time across this system, which can be like local in facility or remote.
Correct. Correct. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to throw a quick sequence together. I'm just going to use the clips that I've created here. I'm just going to literally just throw these down onto the timeline as quick as I can to give you some idea of what we're going to do here.
So a timeline which is like very like the one we have in Lightworks.
Very much so, but at the same time, trying to remove some of the old school behavior, if you like, of Lightworks and things that aren't really relevant so much these days. So things like the trim rollers, maybe not. So as you can see, if I left, you can see as I mouse over a cut point, it's going to tell me which kind of trim I want to do. And as I left click and hold, you can see I'm just literally just trimming, no trim rollers there. Seeing the trim view going.
So it's very mouse-driven, WYSIWYG, and intuitive. So.
Exactly. So the idea behind it is to try and be a lot more visual and a lot more intuitive for people. So you could put this in front of a logger or a producer of somebody who could actually put together a very rough cut of something and then be able to export it for somebody back at base to be onlining it back at base. So I'm just going to do another trim here to shorten that up. I'm just going to close that. And what I'm going to do there is if I just right click on the cut point, I can add a transition. It's going to be a second long and it's a dissolve there, so you can see that's all in real time. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to render that dissolve. I want that to stay put so that when the edit goes back into the database and somebody opens it up in Premiere or Avid Media Composer, they can see that dissolve. So similarly as well, you can see some of the audio is pretty hot here, so all I got to do is just literally just click and drag down to change those audio levels. You can see this bit here is particularly high. Just to give you something, what I can actually do is I can actually put in another keyframe here and I can actually just mute those levels down. One of the nice things as well we said about what's missing from Airflow and Flow Browse is a Voiceover Tool. So I'm just going to mark a section here, open up, and you can see my microphone's over there. I'm just going to record a voiceover, so I just grab the microphone that is on, isn't it? So we can just see that you're not going to hear it play it back.
Mm-hmm.
So
good volume.
Get some idea that. And you can see how simple that is. It's literally, it's just a quick click. You can see there's my levels down there. In fact, I can just boost those up a little bit if I wanted to, and I'm kind of ready to go.
So can we give access to anybody to this, or?
As you say, from the application or to the media, do you mean?
To the application. So you got to have this installed on.
You would have to have this installed. Okay. You would have to have access to a Flow server, an edit share storage. So it's a whole package. So you'd need everything else from edit share as well. But now I've finished working on this remotely, I'm just going to give this a name, and I'm going to call that Surfing Seek.
You name the sequence?
Exactly. So what I'm going to do as well is I'm just going to add a marker here about this dissolve. I'm just going to say dissolve, and I'm going to give it a description and say check dissolve. Is it maybe too short, too long? If I could type, that'd be. I'm going to give that a colour. I'm just going to say that. So what I want to do now is I want to send this back for somebody to be able to online back at base. So what I'm going to do is export it back to Flow. You can see I've got a couple of options here. I'm going to publish the edit, which means it's going to make it available. That's the media space it's going to go to, and it's going to upload the missing clip. So this voiceover that I've recorded here, I'm working remotely. It's only local on this machine, but it needs to be back on the server.
Record remotely.
It needs to go back to the server. So I want it to upload missing clips. I click on Start there. And here we go, it's uploading the file now. So what you'll see looking over at Airflow here is that because we were in the same project earlier, we're changing the metadata. You see now the voiceover file has arrived. It's now an asset that's available. So if you open up, that demo is Media Composer, and we find, I'm going to have to move there because I can't remember the name of the project, which was... Interview. There it is, I'm struggling to see it. Okay, so you can see there's the same assets that are available. There's the voiceover file that we uploaded. There's the sequence that I created called Surfing. Drag that into Media Composer. We open up the sequence. That's okay, that's fine. And you can see there I've got my sequence available with the audio levels and the audio crossfade and the marker that I added, which is basically check the dissolve. Is that okay? It's probably a bit short, so actually what I'm going to do is just remove it. And I'm going to put a comment on there that just says MS, that's me, removed, too short. So what I can do now is I can obviously make other changes, but you can see the voiceover file is there. But what I want to do is after I've finished editing the sequence here is I actually want to export this back out. And I'm going to give that a name, which I haven't created yet. Preferably a name that it will accept. There we go. So if we go back to where we saved that, which is on our desktop over here, you can see I've got the sequence here that I'm going to drag it back into Flow to make it available again as an asset that's available to everybody in the system. And we can actually use Flow Story. If I click, we showed you the log tab earlier. So I go back to the log tab, I click on sequences. There's the sequence that we've just created from Media Composer. There's the dissolve that I added, removed actually from Media Composer to come back here. So you can actually even go into full screen mode now, as you can see there, and view that sequence from Media Composer and any Flow Story client.
It's pretty quick because you're moving the not the video but the data in the collaboration. So it's not like really exporting QuickTime, uploading, downloading.
It's a little bit clunky at the moment getting it from Media Composer back to Flow, but that's just early days for the product.
So now it's working with Media Composer. So is it compatible with other software?
In fact, it's on the other system, but it works with Premiere as well with the same principle.
Is it based on AAF2 or XML?
It's based on AAF, so it will also work with XML, so to go to Final Cut. Again, there'll just be a setting that you make during the exports. That actually what your workflow is. So there'll be a selection which will be XML or AAF or even a client. In fact.
Okay. And could it be exported to an email or something like?
You could actually do that as well, but you can also do a flattened file. So I could actually be using the high-res media. In fact, that's a nice thing to show. You can actually switch between the media playback, so you can either have the proxy information or the high-res information.
Okay.
So, and the important thing to remember that when I exported that AAF was that I was working on the proxies. When the AAF was exported into Flow and we dragged and dropped, it's linking to the high-res material. So it's actually being online.
Media Composer reconnected to. At what point did it reconnect to the full media?
To the full high-res.
Flow,
correct.
Or in Composer?
The information's actually in an AAF file. So
okay.
it's just basically.
So Media Composer.
So Media Composer says, "Oh, there's the high-res media. I can link to that, and I can use all that."
Very cool. So, and is the Flow Story like part an add-on license when you have Flow, or
it's an option for Flow.
Okay.
So you can either have Flow, Airflow, Flow Browse, or Flow Story.
And how many access can you have to Flow Story when you have that license? Is it per
seat? Per seat. Yeah, that's right. So you just buy as many seats as you require for the server.
Okay. And what does it ask from the server? Do you have a maximum, like say, well, we can have 8 clients working and editing like this, or it depends on the hardware you have?
That's a good question. I don't actually know the answer to that.
Okay.
Still early days for the product, but I would imagine there probably will be a limitation. I don't know.
But what does it pull from the actual server? The media?
It's
Because
streaming the proxy information, which can not only is it streaming, but you can choose to download it as well. So the nice example of this is I may be connected to download the proxy information. Once I've got all the proxies from the server, I may want to disconnect and go work offline. I can continue to work with those proxy files, and when I've finished, I can reconnect back to the server, and the data that's offline will sync back online with the server as well. So it's work online or offline or remotely.
well, that's a good solution. It's good. It's good. It's very good and you can really add it to a couple of workflows, like established workflow and stuff like that. And you say it's available to work in Media Composer.
And also for fast turnaround. One of the other demos we've got over there is fast turnaround. So edit while capture. You can be recording your clips in. You can take a section of that data, add a voiceover, add a title effect to it, render it out, and have it viewable in Airflow to somebody anywhere else around the world.
And in fact, that is also easily usable and understandable by anybody. So
that's the idea, to make it simple, fast, and
even if the director doesn't know Media Composer, he'll understand this pretty well.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Matt, thanks for your time.
No worries.
Amazing demo.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.